Okay, so apparently the Warriors are trying to make a deal for Damian Lillard. Now, I think this deal would pretty much put the Warriors at the top of the heap when it comes to championship contenders. Okay, um, I think it'll be better to have Ben Simmons there because Ben Simmons has the height, Ben Simmons has the speed, and Ben Simmons has the ball handling ability to be a major asset on the offensive end. The only thing he can't do is shoot the ball. But if you put him at the God damn it, I hit my foot. Sorry. If you put him at the one, and you put Curry at the two, and you put Thompson at the three, and you have I don't know if Draymond is going to be the starter, even if he's even still there. Most likely he'll stay there, but they'll bring him in off the bench. I don't think that he'll be the starter on the team. He may get starter minutes down the stretch. Like, he'll probably sit on the bench to start the game, but then in the fourth quarter, he's out there with the starters. I could see that. But then you have James Wiseman at the 5. Okay, because I think that kid has some potential. He might prove to be the best pick out of him, LaMelo, and Anthony Edwards. I think James Wiseman can prove to be the better prospect early on in his career. I think ultimately LaMelo might be the better pro over the course of his career than the other two guys. But I think that right now, James Wiseman is in a perfect spot to win a title. James Wiseman is in a perfect spot to be a major contributor on a championship winning team. So we're gonna see, but I think I would rather if I'm the Warriors front office, I'm moving in for Ben Simmons because that way you don't take shots away from Steph, you don't take shots away from Thompson, and Ben can still get his points in the paint. The only thing about Simmons is that he has these moments where he's so passive that he doesn't even attack the rim. And he'll probably end up with 0 points or like less than 5 points in a game in the playoffs. We've seen it before. When he played against my Celtics, I mean, this dude had 1 point. 1 point while the Sixers were getting smacked by the Celtics like 3 or 4 years ago. And I chalked it up to him being young and him listening to the praise that the media and the fans were giving the Sixers at that time, calling him and Embiid superstars their second or third season into the league. And I'm like, yeah, they're not really superstars. And then they came out and they laid an egg in the second round. I think Simmons would benefit more going to the Warriors because then he'll be in a perfect spot to learn how to shoot. He'll be out there with arguably the greatest shooter we've ever seen in Steph Curry, which I think Curry could help him develop his shot. I really do think Curry would have the ability to help him develop into a better jump shooter. He may not be smacking down three-pointers at like a 35-40% clip, but he will be a better shooter. I do think that he could be a better mid-range shooter. He could probably help him work on his mechanics, because usually when players struggle with shooting, it's more about the mechanics and not the fact that they just can't shoot. It's the mechanics of their shot. Larry Bird came out and said the reason why he was able to shoot as consistently as he was able to shoot, no matter how he shot the ball, was because every time he went up for his shot, his mechanics were exactly the same every single time. He knew where the ball was. He kept the ball in front of his face, so he knew where he was aiming the ball when he put the ball up. And he said he did that shot. He had those mechanics for so long that it was second nature. And I think that's what Simmons needs to work on, just like Markelle Fultz needed to work on, was shot mechanics. Now we'll see what happens, but I do think that Ben Simmons would be a better prospect. And Golden State, sorry. Let's hear what Jalen and Jacoby, I guess, has to say. Let's go.
Warriors are reportedly putting together a package to potentially draw that man, Dame Lillard, to the Bay to play. Jalen, do you see Dame Lillard playing with the Warriors next season?
Listen, you can't go wrong either way, but I think as far as like shooting the ball, Dame is going to bring that every time. But who's going to be a facilitator? Because unless you got Draymond out there, I'm not saying Steph isn't a good facilitator. I'm just saying you can take the ball out of Steph's hands. You could put it in Simmons' hands. And now you have Klay Thompson, Steph Curry, and whoever else you got out there running off screens and doing all, getting open, and Simmons getting them open shots. Versus you got three players, their first time playing, trying to figure out how everybody's going to eat all at once. And when you got three shooters out there, well, Klay Thompson probably is going to average less than them because Klay Thompson is more of a he's willing to adjust his game. He's one of the most adaptable players I've ever seen, where he has superstar talent. He really does, but he is willing to adjust his style of play to benefit everybody else. And I think that if you want to get the most out of Klay Thompson, if you want to get the most out of Steph Curry, you're better off getting Ben Simmons, and then your defense is going to be a lot better. But let's go.
Dollar been a terror since the public school era. And I know how much he loves Oakland and how great it may be for him to play in front of the home fans. But if you're the Portland Trail Blazers and you just hired Chauncey Billups and Dame has 3 more years left on his deal and they're in the Western Conference, you do not.
Yeah, if I'm the Portland Trail Blazers, why would I trade Dame in conference? If anything, I'm trading him to the East where I ain't got to see him only but so much. Why would you trade him to a team in your own conference to make that team even more dangerous, to possibly put more rings on their finger? Why would you do that? Unless the Warriors got something. And if I'm the Portland Trail Blazers, I'm not shipping Dame off unless you're going to give me James Wiseman. Well, if they get James Wiseman, they would either have to move him to a power forward or they would have to ship Nurkic out. And at this point, I think shipping Nurkic out might be the best option. If anything, Portland should be looking to move Nurkic, because now when Nurkic is on the floor, man, he's a factor. But that injury, man, the injury stuff, man, a player is only so effective as long as they can stay healthy. And when you got a guy like Anthony Davis or Nurkic or Embiid, you need to trust that they can stay healthy, and they just proved that they can't stay healthy consistently. I'm moving Nurkic. I'm getting Nurkic out of there. Now, if you move Nurkic, or if you plan to move Nurkic, you tell the Warriors, listen, you give me James Wiseman. If they still have Andrew Wiggins on their team, I believe he's still there. I don't know why I keep thinking Andrew Wiggins went somewhere else. You give me Wiggins, you give me Wiseman, you give me maybe a first round pick somewhere in the future, another pick more recently. 2 first round picks, Wiggins and Wiseman, and you can have Damian Lillard. That's what I'm looking for, something significant. If I'm the Blazers, I'm not looking for anything. I'm looking for something significant.
Not allowed 2 of the 3 4-level shout to Yoda shooters in the league. Trae Young is one, guys that shoot from the hash mark to half court. Yep. The other 2 are Steph and Dame Lillard. Yep. You don't let that happen. No doubt about it.
Especially when you have him under contract for 3 years. I thought, if anything, his contract was up a year from now, if anything. But you have him for 3 more years. There's no way I'm letting him go for anything other than something that's going to blow my mind. So we'll see.
Look deeper into the Warriors roster. I don't think they have the assets to make it happen. If you're going to call...
Unless they start to trade that core. They would have to trade James Wiseman, who is a very high potential young man, and they would have to give up Wiggins, who's proven that he can be a solid role player on a championship team. Now, I don't think that he's going to be winning titles, being a title leader or, leading teams to a title anytime soon. But I do think that as a third option on a team that can possibly compete for a championship, I think that would be the perfect position for him. So you trade for Wiggins, you trade for Wiseman, you get at least 2 first-round picks out of this deal, if not more, because Dame is still kind of young. I mean, he's on the back half of the 20. I don't think he's 30 yet. He might be, but I think he's maybe 29, 28, 29, something like that. So he's still relatively young. I mean, you could still get like 5 to maybe 8 years left, from Damian before he decides to hang up his jersey once and for all. Like, you still can get some significant time out of him. You gotta get as much as you can, man. You gotta get as much as you can.
About Dame, Jacoby, I'm looking at.
I do think that it would be cheaper to get Simmons, though. You wouldn't have to give up as much, because people are kind of like, if I'm able to get Simmons, great, but if not, then it's not that much of a loss. Especially in the league now where shooting the ball is such an important quality in a player, where big men who used to be able to just be down in the paint and do that and you never had to look to them to shoot threes. Now they can shoot threes at such a high clip. It's damn near shocking. So the fact that Simmons can't shoot would make anybody have reservations about giving up too much. So if the Sixers would want to move on from him, they would have to take a reduced rate, like seriously. Unless you have somebody that's so desperate to get him that you can pretty much ask for whatever you want. But I think it'll be a lot cheaper to get Ben Simmons.
Phone. It better be like Jaylen Brown's face popping up at least. like somebody that's a future superstar that's already an all-star, that's an ascending player that can do multiple things.
The Warriors, unless they trade Steph Curry or Klay Thompson, the only thing that they have of any value as far as players go is James Wiseman and Andrew Wiggins. Now you package them both, you package up a couple of picks at the least, and that seems like a very reasonable package for the Portland Trailblazers. I think Wiseman would fix their long-running issues with having a big man, and then you can, I don't know if they still have McCollum. I don't know if they traded him or let him go. I don't know why I didn't look this up, but if McCollum is still on the team, you're able to keep him there, and then you just got to bring in a facilitator, man. Just bring in a point guard that can keep the ball moving and play good defense and can shoot a little bit. I think that you have the makings of a team that could at least have a run, at least one run in the next few years.
But don't call me about no picks. Don't call me about no guy that can be an all-star. I don't want to hear about potential. I have Dame Dollar, one of the top 8 players in the...
I mean, who's going to trade an all-star caliber player with the all-stars we have now, unless you're like the Milwaukee Bucks and you decided that you want to move off of Holiday and move off of Middleton, like nobody's trading an all-star to get Damian Lillard, because all Damian Lillard has proven to be was potentially an all-NBA player and a definite all-star player. So you mean to tell me I have to give you picks, I have to give you a surefire all-star? Like, I don't know. Like, I think Portland might have to take a little bit of a loss as well, because if we're talking about Dame as Dame is now, you're not going to get anything. And no team is going to give you anything close to what Dame is worth. So you would have to take a bit of a loss, but it will be such a menial loss that it won't be much of a drop-off from where they are now. Because at best right now, the Portland Trailblazers are a 50-53 win team that can possibly push for the Western Conference Finals, but at best get you to the second round. Right now with Damian Lillard. So I don't know, man. You got to temper expectations. It's not like Damian Lillard had a championship season a few years ago or something like that. No.
Entire league. If I'm gonna give him up, I need something for right now.
You can't call me and talk about James Wiseman and the number 7 pick to get Dame Lillard. Because we know Dame's going to New York. We know Dame Lillard's going to New York City. He wants to play in the Garden. He wants to be in the Eastern Conference. He'll immediately be the best guard in the Eastern Conference when he finally joins the New York Knicks. Now, I don't know what we could possibly put together to get him there.
I love your irrational
but I love
confidence.
the idea. I love the
That'll
idea.
make you so happy.
Bro, I don't know who's worse, Lakers fans or Knicks fans. Because for some reason, every time a free agent pops up, you know, a big name free agent, they either think they're going to the Lakers or the Knicks. Oh, the Knicks would be the perfect situation for this player to go to. Oh, the Lakers would be the perfect situation. Who would be the perfect team to get Kawhi Leonard? The New York Knicks, the Los Angeles Lakers. Like, it's just every time. It's just one of the two teams are the Knicks and the Lakers.
You and Quincy and the twins, y'all will be going to the games, wearing Dame jerseys. Look at you. Die easy already. Look at you.
Dog, I'm going to steal your credit card and get season tickets. I'm going to steal your credit card.
I think Dame is more interested in going to a team that can compete. I mean, at this point of his career, he's already accumulated enough money that he should be able to take care of his family for as long as he can possibly take care of them with the amount of money that he's made. And he's already had the only accolades he hasn't had in his career that he can, say, well, I've done this, is an MVP and a championship ring, or, NBA finals, whatever you want to put there. But I mean, he's still searching for some stuff. So if he goes anywhere, like, Dame is always going to be looking to go to a contender that fits his style of play. Like, players don't have any cares anymore about what the media thinks about them teaming up with other great players. They're going to do whatever they want.
Season tickets if Dame Lillard comes to the Garden. But again, like you said, if I'm the Portland Trailblazers, I have him locked in for 3 more years. I have a brand new coach. We're turning a page. We're keeping Dame Lillard in Portland. I do not see him playing anywhere else next season.
And also, I have to make sure.
All right, let me say this, and then I'm done. Do I think it's realistic that the Portland Trailblazers will deal Lillard to the Warriors? No. To have to go up against that, to cut off your nose to spite your face, that's what you would be doing, and I don't think that teams want to allow the Warriors to continue their reign of terror, over the NBA. And teams in the conference, teams in a certain conference have been notorious with trading great players to the other conference, even if they get far less, because they don't want to deal with that player in their own conference. The only time I would have to deal with this player is in the playoffs, in the championship round, if it comes to that. But I think Damian Lillard is not the best choice to end up in Golden State. I'm going to say this, and I'm going to say this again. I think Ben Simmons would be perfect there. I think that would be the perfect situation for him, and you would get him at far less of a rate than you would have to deal to get Damian Lillard. That's just my opinion, but we'll see what happens.